Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome to another video. Today I have something that I am super excited to do. I have also never done it before and I was inspired by another creator. So tonight we are building our magical readathon TBR together, and this is an idea that I got from Vish here on YouTube. I will have her link down below. She is an awesome creator and I highly recommend you check her out and subscribe. For the spring equinox, she did a plan with me and I just absolutely loved watching it, seeing her process, seeing the options she had for each of the prompts and then what she ended up choosing. Like, it was just a great video. So I was like, hey, I'm going to totally do this next time and I will give you credit. So today we are planning our magical readathon TBR. So what you can't see is that I do have my laptop set up in front of me. So I'm going to watch the announcement video, which I have not done. It came out like, 4 days ago now, and I've been just chomping at the bit waiting for time to film this so that I can dive in and plan with you guys. So let's watch it and then figure out what books we are reading.
Welcome back!
I'm so excited. Okay, I have my drink of choice. I have the most magical koozie I could find, and we are ready to start our TBR. Okay, so first, I do have a magical readathon journal, digital journal, that I made on Canva. So I do have the pages like pre-started. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill in what the prompts are for the books that I need for my career, and then we will pick out the books together. First, I should tell you a little bit about my character. So my character's name is Ivy Blackheart. She is part of the Order of the Crescent, and the calling that I am going for is a necromancer. This is our 4th and final year of studying for a necromancer, so I will have a master's in necromancy at the end of this year. I do plan on carrying on as Ivy Blackheart next year because I think I want to be in her head a little bit longer and explore other callings. She does have an urban background and is from the Karud province. She is a earthling, and the type of earthling she is a fire earthling, and she was born on a blood moon. Here is an image of what she kind of looks like. I envision her pretty much like this, but her skin is also more of kind of like a molten lava, kind of like that harder texture with cracks in it to see the lava. You can see it kind of in this photo I found on Pinterest, but just imagine like a little bit more. The conduit she uses is a trident, and she does have a familiar, which is a black and gold cat with green and purple wings that looks a little something like this. Like, basically picture this larger one mixed in with the smaller one. So it's like the smaller size, but it looks like the bigger one. So let me fill in the prompts and then we'll get started. All right, I have filled in the prompts. So let's go ahead and dive in. I do have some books that are already on my tentative September TBR, so I will be looking at some of those for options. If I need to, I will steal some books from my August TBR and then look at my shelves, look at my want to reads, look at whatever we got. So let's start at the top left of my calling syllabus that I've created, by the way. It's not in the order that is on the callings PDF, but this is what visually looked better for me. So we are going to start with demonology, which is impling outbursts, and the prompt is to read a book that has an emotion in the title. So let me see what I have currently planned and see if there's anything that has an emotion in the title already. Okay, so on my September TBR that I've already like kind of planned, I only have one book that would fit this, but honestly, it's perfect. And it is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. This is a newer release and is actually my book club pick for September. So I absolutely have to read it, so we might as well just slot that right in. Next is Animal Studies, which is Dragon Hatchlings, and the prompt is to read a debut book. Let's see, I feel like I might have some. Okay, so it looks like I have a couple. So the first one that I have is Conform by Ariel Sullivan. This is a book that I got for review, I believe, from NetGalley. And this is this author's first book, so it is their debut novel. There is also Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. I don't have a copy of this book, and while it's not Bridget Kemmerer's debut novel, it's her adult debut novel, so it still counts, but again, I don't have a copy of it. That does make it a little bit harder because I'd have to come across it somehow in order to read it. And then the last option is Alchemized by Senlin Yu. This is the traditionally published version of Manacled, if you've heard of that book, which I'm currently reading right now. This is the first traditionally published book that Senlin Yu has written. Everything else, I believe, was on AO3, so it's her debut into traditional publishing, so I think it still counts. The problem with this one is that according to both Goodreads and Amazon, it's going to be over 1,000 pages, which I feel like is impossible. I feel like it's impossible because the AO3 version of Manacled is a little over 900 pages, and I feel like that's going to be dramatically edited down, not added to. So, is this page count real? And if so, can I make this happen? Especially with all these other books we have to read. So I think the smartest option would be to go with Conform, and then I could always swap it out with Alchemized if I feel like that's the mood I want to go into later. So we'll slot in Conform and say that that's what it is for now. Okay, next we have Restoration, which is Unbroken Focus Tincture, and the prompt is to read a book that has a single POV. And I feel like this might be harder to figure out what has a single POV, other than the fact that, like, maybe it only mentions one person, maybe the description is in first person point of view. I don't know. So let me see if I can deduce that. Okay, so the only book that is on my current TBR, which is also counting for my Year in Aldea prompt for September as well, is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. And since I have to read that book in September for the Year in Aldea challenge anyways, and you can use that book to double up on a prompt for your Autumn Equinox syllabus, I think I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. I have gone through 10 pages of tags for this book, and like in the description it only mentions Sybil, and then I went through 10 pages of tags, and the only mention of like a POV was somebody marking it as a first person POV, so I think it should just be Sybil. So we're going to go ahead and put that one for that. Next, we are going to work on our first class that requires more than one book, which is Spells and Incantations. We need a level Q, a qualified, which means we have to read an ordinary and then a qualified. So for ordinary, the prompt is a luck charm, and we are to roll a d6, and then depending on what number it lands on, that is the page bracket that our book needs to be. And I did look around. I feel like somewhere I might have a die, but I can't find any. I feel like they're probably still in the garage, because I feel like it was like probably a board game I had. And the board games I have inside, none of them have a dice. I'm going to pull one up on my phone, because I'm sure that there is a digital one. Okay, so the Google version looks like this. So it's technically 2 3-sided die, but obviously like if 2 3s land, I wonder if I use 2 3s, let me test it out, because I don't think I can get like a 1. Yeah, no. This isn't gonna work. Hold on. There's gotta be a way. Okay, I think I figured it out. I think if I just put 1 cube, it will be between the numbers 1 and 6. So let's go ahead and roll together. Okay, so we landed on a 3, which means the page count has to be between 300 and 399. Okay, I have 3 options for this one. The first one is The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Raish. This one is 336 pages. Then I also have By the Horns by Ruby Dixon, which is 368 pages. And finally, I have Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell, which is 361 pages. The first two I do have advanced copies of, and By the Horns, I think, because it comes out on September 2nd, I'm pretty positive I listened to the first one, and I want to say that it was on Hoopla. So I feel like the chances are pretty high that it will be on Hoopla on September 2nd when it comes out. So that does give me like an additional way to make sure that this happens. The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, I believe I have it on audio. I think I got an advanced listener copy, I think. And then Don't Let Him In, I have an advanced e-copy from back in June. I know. I was planning on reading it this month, but I should be able to get the audiobook by September, which is what I was kind of waiting on to finish the book, because I really prefer Lisa Jewell books in audio. They're always so well done. And when I started physically reading it, I was like, I am enjoying myself, but this would be so much better as an audio. I could hold it off until next month instead. This is really tough. I feel like I should come back to this because any of these could be used for the future. So let's pause on this prompt and see what else we have to decide. So for the qualified grade, it is current spell trends, and the prompt is a book released this year, which again, I could use all three of the ones that we just talked about. Then we also have A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen to add into the mix, and The Never List by Jade Presley. I really feel like I want to do The Never List by Jade Presley because I'm really excited to get to this book, and I want to, and so far it has not fit for anything. So I think we should go with that one for this prompt, which does not help us with the previous one at all. So let's just move on to the last class and see if that helps narrow anything down. So my last class is Conjuration. I have to read 3 books for this class. For, what does the O stand for? Why did that just blank out of my mind? Ordinary. Wow. I just said it not too long ago, but sure. So for Ordinary, it is Conjuring Circles, and the prompt is to read a book with a circle on the cover, which we do have 2, I believe. Yeah, we have 2. I mean, technically O's are circles, so we have quite a few already in this TBR that we could swap out for, but let's see if there are any others. So the only other one that is already on my tentative TBR that has a circle on it is A Forbidden Alchemy. But I'm also like not positive now if I want to read that next month. So I feel like I should move The Never List to this one because there is the circle wax stamp. And then I can use both spells and incantation prompts for the 3 that we're trying to decide between for those classes instead. Okay, for Qualified, it is Borrowing Spells, and the prompt is to borrow from another person's TBR, so I think we'll save this till the end so I can look on Discord and see what TBRs have been shared already and see if there's something I want to pull from one of theirs. So that takes us to Distinguished, which is Conjuring Snacks, and the prompt is Food on the Cover, which I don't know if I have a book with food on the cover. There's no food there, no food there, no food there either. Okay, as expected, finding a book with food on the cover is pretty difficult. At least with the books that are on my tentative TBR and the ones that I physically own, which is where I kind of like to start first before like trickling other things in. And I do have to figure out like what I'm reading for my Read 'em or Reap in September as well. So with that in mind, I think I might have a master plan, which changes a whole bunch of prompts. But let's look at what TBRs have been listed and see if my grand master plan will actually work. Okay, did my master plan come to fruition? Yes and no. So it was not done the way that I originally thought it would, but I think it'll work. So let's start at the top. Let's explain what's happening here. Okay, Demonology. We are keeping the same. It is going to be I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. Animal Studies, a debut book. We are putting in Alchemized. I know, it's crazy, and it could possibly be over 1,000 pages. But I am going to use a Scroll of Versatility, which lets you use a book that is over 500 pages for 2 prompts as long as it fulfills both of those prompts. So the first one is going to be Animal Studies. For Restoration, which was single POV, we're going to swap that to Conform. So far what I can see in Conform, the description makes it seem like it's going to be a single POV. The tags that people have tagged it, no one has mentioned a single thing about multi-POV. And I did open up my ebook copy, and I went through 3 chapters to see if there are any names underneath the chapter heading or what kind of tense it's written in, and it is written in first person. So I'm pretty sure that this is a single POV. So we're going to swap that one there. For Spells and Incantations, for the D6 roll page bracket, we got a 3, so the 300. I am going to slot in The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Raish. For the qualified grade for Spells and Incantations, for the book released this year, that will be the second prompt for Alchemized. Conjuration, for Ordinary, which was a circle on the cover, we're going to keep it as The Never List by Jade Presley. For Qualified, which was to borrow a book from a TBR. This is what I was hoping to use the second one for Alchemized, and I've gone through the TBRs, and there's no Alchemized listed, because it's insane, and I get that, but I'm doing it. And then I'm going to post mine, and then people can steal it from mine. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, the book I am stealing from someone's TBR, which I will have to go back through and find who had it listed, but somebody had The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig listed, so I'm going to swap that one there. And that leaves us with one more prompt for Conjuration, which is the distinguished food on the cover. And for that, I'm going to use another scroll, which would be the Scroll of Exchange. And this one allows you to swap a prompt you don't want to do with anyone that you want to, and it will still count for that class. So let's now pick what prompt I would like to do, and then figure out what book what are we putting in there? Now, as of right now, there are no other books on my tentative TBR that I need to find a spot for, which is great. I have taken off things that we haven't picked and narrowed it down. So our TBR technically, as of right now, is just exactly what our TBR is for the Magical Readathon. So this is where it's everything's up in the air. I can choose whatever I want. And I don't know if that helps or hurts me. Part of me wants to pick a prompt that will match something on my physical TBR, books I own that I haven't read, so that way my Read 'em or Reap is kind of set, because it'll be Alchemized and then whatever I pick now. The other part of me is we should find a fun, just straight up romance to read, but I don't know. So let's look at the prompts. Okay, so right off the bat, I could do the prompt for the Qualified Animal Studies, which is a sequel, because a part of me is I really would like to get to a couple sequels I have in mind. That is a very top tier contender. Then what else? The distinguished prompt for Astronomy is also very enticing, which is under 250 pages, which honestly that sounds nice because my TBR is also very, very long right now, but it's hard to find a short book, especially one that I'm really excited to read. Oh, I could easily just do the Elemental Qualified, which is a book with romance. Okay, we're going to swap it out for that one, because then the world is my oyster at that point. Even the sequels I was thinking of, those have romance. Okay, folks, I have gone through all my options for romance. Which, luckily, to be honest, every single book in my TBR so far, minus possibly I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons, because I'm not positive if that one does, but every other book does feature romance. So we do have romance, and originally my idea was kind of I should read an Allie Hazelwood or something that's a realistic romance. I mean, that would be light, fun, and easy, because I have a lot of fantasy romance, some darker romance, and I was maybe we just need a little variety in here. But then I remembered a book that I just got accepted for a NetGalley review copy, and it is another fantasy romance, but also her books are really fun. And that is What Fury Brings by Tristia Levenseller. And I have gone back and forth about is there a book in here that I could get rid of? Should I try to use Alchemized for one prompt and just hope for the best? What can we change? And honestly, nothing. I don't really want to change anything. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to slot it in, and the last Conjuration book will be What Fury Brings. This is my final TBR for the Autumn Equinox Magical Readathon by G from Book Roast. I am feeling very excited. I am feeling confident. I am feeling like these are some really great picks. I think we have a good mix of like longer books and shorter books. I feel like everything for the most part is between like 3 and 400-ish, like 3 and 500 pages, minus alchemized, of course. But we are counting that for 2 prompts. And this is only 7 books. Plus, I think there is one more that I have to read for like a different thing for the Magical Readathon, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was for my, what were those called? Like certificate from last year. It was like a Impling babysitter, I think, maybe. Something like that. I needed to read Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, and I really am liking physically reading it, but the physical edition's font is way too small, so I really like reading on my ebook, but I was borrowing it from the library and my loan lapsed before I could finish it. And I did do the old trick of turning my Kindle on airplane mode so that I wouldn't lose it, but then I lost the ability to see the annotations. So, I'm waiting for that to come back so that I can read it, which may or may not even happen in September, but in the event that I do get it, then that is another book I need to add to my TBR. So, as of right now, we have like 8 books. Oh, plus a 9th book for Read 'em or Reap, because I do try to read at least 2 books, unless I buy one of these books, and then it'll count. That doesn't feel too bad. I think we're gonna do good. I think we're gonna do totally fine. Again, I will have all the information for this readathon, if you have never heard of it, down below in the description box. I really hope that you guys join me, and if you are, please let me know where I can find or what your TBR is, because I find it really exciting to like see what each other's reading and cheer each other on, that kind of thing. So yeah, thank you for joining me for this video. I had a lot of fun filming this with you guys. I feel like there was like a lot of pressure for me to do this as quickly as possible, just to not like just create a bunch of footage, but it honestly wasn't that bad, and I had a lot of fun. So I think I will definitely be doing this again in the future. Let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see another one? Because I liked it. As always, don't forget to keep reading, stay safe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!